Good afternoon. The Information Technology and General Services Committee will now come to order. We have 4 items on the agenda. We'll begin with item number 1.
Item number 1 is a motion by Council Members Reyes, Perry, Garcetti, relative to an authorization to negotiate and execute a lease agreement with Aztecs for an old fire station located at 3516 North Broadway for a term of 10 years at $1 per year.
Okay. Anybody here from GSD? I have some questions about the lease agreement. Anybody here on item number 1 from the staff? This lease agreement is an ongoing agreement. Is anybody? Item number 1, the fire station number 70 located at 3516 North Broadway.
Irene Saltzman, Asset Management, General Services. This was a motion done by Reyes's office. It was not done by our staff for a nonprofit lease.
Any analysis by any of your other staff?
Mr. Chairman, Paul Smith from the CLA's office. It's our understanding that Aztec Rising and Dunn had shared this office until very recently, and that the motion asked for the continuation of the lease agreement with Aztec Rising in that facility. Dunn has moved to a different location. We would like to proceed to have this continued in your committee to then send it back to GSD and have GSD and CLA and CAO take a look at crafting a lease that allows them to stay in this facility to essentially provide a number of service units to the community, and they would also pick up the costs relative to maintenance and utilities and insurance and those kind of items to take the burden off the city. So we're essentially saying, let's take this back to the GSD, craft a lease that we can present to you in a later time.
Yes. One of the things that comes to mind is even though not-for-profits who serve our constituents are occupying space and getting leases at a low cost from the city, I can understand the nexus between the fact that they do serve the constituents, they are providing value to the community, et cetera. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we're not allowing them to become delinquent in their responsibilities as tenants, like making sure that they have insurance and things of that nature. We don't want any inadvertent burdens on the city beyond the understood agreement that their leases are favorable and that they are providing services to our constituents.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's
then
where we'll be
also,
looking.
I presume that Aztec Rising is still occupying the facility, I guess?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Right.
So they're being treated as a month-to-month tenant at this time?
That is my understanding.
Okay. All right. Okay, how long do we think we need to hear this back in committee if we continue the item and then wait for the appropriate reports?
60 days.
60 days?
Yeah.
Okay. If Mr. Reyes wants it sooner, I'll be letting you know.
Yes, sir.
It's in his district. Okay. All right. So we'll be looking for those documents and those reports back in 60 days in this committee. And with that, we'll instruct GSD with the assistance from the CAO and CLA to develop a lease agreement with Aztecs Rising for a 10-year period in consideration of services and improvements. Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody to comment on item number 1? Seeing and hearing none, public comment is closed on item number 1. We now move to item number 2.
Item number 2 is an Information Technology Agency report relative to Cox Communications channel additions and changes for former franchise area N.
Good afternoon, Chairman Cardenas. William Imperial from the Information Technology Agency. The notice that was provided to Council that comes from Cox Communication with regard to 6 basic channel changes that they're making to their lineup, adding HD services, and they're also adding a new channel as well. And they did mention that there is a possibility in their notice to ITA that you may need to purchase or rent a converter box if you use a cable card, which is a device that plugs right into the TV. Normally, it obviates the need for a converter box, but because of the HD signal being a higher grade signal, you need a converter box. And they provided that notice to us. And this affects residents who live in Council District 15, Hans.
Now, it affects residents within the city, but other than notifying the city of Los Angeles and us noting this, is there anything else we can do?
No, the federal law preempts all regulation of the tiering of the channels and the movement of the channels to any city or state. This has been the law for quite some time now.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here to comment on item number 2? Item number 2 is now open for public comment. Seeing and hearing none, public comment on item number 2 is now closed. With that, we'll note and file item number 2. Thank you. We're now on item number 3.
Item number 3 is a resolution by Council Members Perry, Parks, and Reyes relative to the upcoming broadcast digital television transition effective February 17, 2009. This item was also referred to the Trade, Commerce, and Tourism Committee.
Okay.
Thank you. Once again, William Imperial from the Information Technology Agency. As you're aware, Chairman Cardenas, the FCC has promulgated a mandate to all over-the-air broadcasters that they must transition their analog signals to the digital platform by February 17, 2009. As a result of that switchover, DTV, digitaltv.org, was created to consolidate the efforts by the federal government, including the Federal Communications Commission, which is heading this effort to publicize the availability of two $40 cash or voucher coupons that are to be used by members of any household that applies for the voucher before November. I believe the deadline is going to be December 1st, but I'm hearing now that it may be extended, but we don't have confirmation on that. And that those coupons allow a resident to go out and buy a converter box if they have or use an antenna system, that is the rabbit ears or the antenna that goes on top of the home or the apartment building that they live in. It does not affect cable or satellite subscribers. In regard to that resolution that I'm addressing now, there's also your motion with regard to ITA taking an active role in sending out the publication notices to all departments. We've already had begun that effort. We did not have the DWP, though. You got us there. So now we are going to move toward the DWP and ask them to, ask their IT people to see how we can get that going based on your motion. I believe it was heard last week. Now, what we did is, I know you're not aware, but this morning this afternoon we filed a DTV Transition report that addresses your motion and the resolution before you now.
Okay. Thank you. So February 17th is the big change.
Yes, February 17, 2009.
And as far as we understand, the coupons should cover the cost of the box?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, no.
I mean, there's no guarantee, but everybody's anticipating that it'll be certainly within that range.
The boxes are already on sale, but they're going very, very fast out of Radio Shack, Best Buy,
How much
Walmart. What I've seen is, and I've been shopping myself, is $60. So the $40 adds on, you basically spend $20 plus tax. And what I would note to residents when they ask us is, you don't need a super fancy box. You just need the converter box. There's some that come with parental controls. I've never been able to control my parents, so I don't know what good it would do. Just kidding. but essentially over...
I'm sure they'd say the same about you.
Very good. Speaking on their behalf. No, actually, over-the-air broadcasts basically normally don't have a lot of things that you need to control parentally. So, I mean, I don't know why you'd want to pay $75 for a box. But those are issues people need to deal with. But
yeah, that's interesting because the network television channels, the feds are much stricter with
absolutely.
what they can show.
Yeah, they have to operate. They don't have the limitations that actually they have limitations that cable and satellite programmers do not have.
Right.
So-
Yeah, we're watching some on TV, and my wife goes, I can't believe they let them say that. And I said, this is cable.
Yeah,
Very different.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody here to speak on item number 3? Item number 3 is now open for public comment. Seeing and hearing no public comment on item number 3. Public comment on item number 3 is now closed. With that, this committee will adopt and forward this resolution. Thank you. We now move to item number 4.
Item number 4 is a Chief Legislative Analyst report relative to the disposition of the property at First and Broadway. This item is also referred to the Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay. And this would be in which council district? Is this Jan Perry's district?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is this site part of the Grand Avenue overall project?
The communication we received from the county is asking for us to enter into this agreement. The county is now seeking sole ownership of the First and Broadway site, which is co-owned by the state and the county, with the city having about a 7% participatory interest in the site. As you recall, earlier we have the city entered into an agreement with the state relative to the exchange of the Caltrans properties where we switched. Part of that agreement included the reconveyance, or the conveyance back to the state of our 7% interest in the First and Broadway site. So the agreement before you is essentially an agreement to allow the two parties, the state and the county, to divest each other of the interest, divide it back. They want sole ownership of each property because the city had participatory 7% interest in it. We are part of that agreement with the county and the state. What it really does is terminate an earlier agreement we had about the development of the parcels. It allows us to execute in a timely fashion our 2002 exchange agreement with the state on the Caltrans properties, and we're recommending approval of the matter before you.
So this is tied into the Caltrans property?
Yeah, when we negotiate with the state for those exchange of the Caltrans property over to the new DOT Caltrans building and the site now where the PAB is located, the negotiators included as a consideration of the value of the Caltrans property that 7% interest in the state property over at First and Broadway.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation, that clarification. Is there anybody here to speak on item number 4? We are now on item number 4 of the Information Technology General Services Committee. Seeing and hearing no public comment on item number 4. Public comment on item number 4 is now closed. With that, this committee will approve the CLA report and move forward. Thank you. Is anybody here to speak on general public comment to the Information Technology and General Services Committee? Seeing and hearing none, general public comment is now closed, and this committee is now adjourned. Isn't that 2:30 in here?